as early as 1935 or 36 by our U.S. Navy. And there was a shallow underwater base at Bikini Island, and that was probably the one reason why a number of atomic bombs were exploded in that area rather than other areas which they could have been even more remote out in the South Pacific at Operation Crossroads. Well, anyway, this all led up to later on, about 6-8 years later, 1954, during the Eisenhower administration, led to an interesting treaty called the Greada 1954 Treaty. It was the Alien-Human Treaty. And supposedly the aliens had come in and exchanged technology, and they'd want to take an occasional human being and a few head of cows, and accurate books were supposedly to be kept, and all this kind of stuff. And of course, eventually all that broke down, and aliens are notorious for being liars, even greater liars than so-called, in quote, we humans are. So alien treaties are often just not even the pieces of paper they're written on, they're just really kind of worthless. Anyway, my work as a geologist in building underground military bases, some of which are over 2 miles underground. And I think when you listen to Al tonight, if you have a chance to listen to him, he will speak of, Al's actually been on some of the high-speed monorail subway cars, if you might want to call them, that link these bases together. Some of them are capable of riding on a cushion of air about 3/4 of an inch off a rail at a better part of Mach 2. And he's actually been on one of these trains. I've only been in one of the tunnels and helped build some of the tunnels. Incidentally, I helped work on 13 deep underground military bases. Had hands-on experience. Notorious was the one in and around the Dulce, the southeastern and southwestern sides of Dulce, New Mexico, in the Los Alamos laboratory regions, where we built some hermetically sealed rooms that were very deep, going down over a mile. We also built additions onto Groom Lake and S2 and S4 complexes. There are a total of 9 underground. They're called DUMBs. Like, you can learn a lot from this dummy, but DUMB stands for Deep Underground Military Base. And or a deep underground, DUM-2, for instance, is a submarine base, and I have built a few of those too, which are off our continental shelves and then certain islands and out in the Atlantic and the Pacific in strategic locations. All this, I can hardly, in an hour's time, I can hardly squeeze all this in, so I'll be kind of rambling here if you just bear with me. The main topic of my discussion here is to link up basically what's going on with these deep underground military bases, what they're being used for, what is the present situation now being employed both by our federal government, which is slowly being phased out by the United Nations government, as well as the New World, end quote, the New World Order, which is an even higher entity, and who these higher entities are taking their orders from, and try and link up basically what's going on. A lot of us have been kept in the dark. Technology is used to build these underground bases. Well, we have lasers that can drill out or basically deflagrate or melt out a tunnel 7 miles a day. And that tunnel is 28 feet wide, 28 feet high. You've been told about drilling and boring machines in a very slow 1/4 of a mile a day. Most of that went out in World War II. Most of that's all World War I or World War II era materials. And once again, you've been badly lied to. I can hardly believe, first of all, I've worked on public engineering projects, and we do better in grinding up road beds and laying them down at the rate of 4 miles a day, and supposedly that doesn't exist. Well, I worked on one in the state of Oregon just a few months ago, and we built a tunnel for sewage tunnel and whatnot like that. It wasn't very big. It was about 6 feet across, and I drilled right through solid rock, right to the base of under one of the hills in Portland for their new light rail. Did that in 2 days. But it was a complex, it was a small, complex tunnel. It was big enough for a man to crawl through and inspect, and I was one of the people that inspected, so yeah. What technology? A lot of this is alien technology, readapted for our own use, but a lot of it's our own ingenuity too. Build a lot of these tunnels, and all of the underground mountain or military bases are connected, all of them, all 131 of them. They're connected both by road, not a big freeway under there, but it's at least a 2 to a 4 lane road, rather narrow lanes, but they're there, and they're also high-speed magneto-leviton train tunnels. Yes, this lady over here. Stand up and speak up, please. What levels of military personnel know about this? Most of the levels of military know about this, especially the higher levels, higher officer levels. The enlisted, I'm sure, don't, or are basically kept in the dark like we are, end quote, we are. So, this fellow right here with the hat, Adam.
Where are most of these bases located?
Well, there's 131 of them in the United States, 127 of them in the lower 48. There's some in Canada, I'm not counting those. There's some in northern Mexico, I'm not counting those either. They average about 4¼ cubic miles hollowed out underground, an average depth of 5,700 feet underground. Average cost $17 to $31 billion each. They employ anywhere from 1,800 to 10,000 people. And some very large ones now being built in Sweden, one of which is repudiated to be 30 cubic miles. It will take 5 years to build that one at a cost of about $2 trillion. And that's all being supplied by the United Nations. Touch upon a number of subjects. One being that these underground bases are roughly over 3 of them per state. There's now, instead of 12 prison camps, there's 39. That's almost 1 per state. They're building 2 prison camps every 7 months. They're building 2 underground military bases every year. Each one of these military bases, by the way, these underground military bases, they cost somewhere between $17 and $26 billion. They employ 1,800 to 10,000 workers each in varying grades of skill. They gobble up totally through the black budget, over 1/4 of the black budget, or roughly $310 billion. Of course, you may say, where are these figures coming from? Well, the black budget, as we know it, in quote, black projects, which anything called black is significant of hidden from Congress, hidden from the American people, and very few people are even in the know about it at all. But black budget per year garners over $500 billion a year. And it's these kind of huge quantities and sums of monies are garnered through CIA drug activity, National Security Agency clandestine operations, mostly in Panama and South America. Now also engaged in Russia in bringing and refining strategic metals. By the way, you might want to ask, where's all these kind of interesting new metals coming from? Over here on the whiteboard, we have the new periodic table. It's got 140 elements. Now, in our high schools of today, I was in a high school about a week ago, I saw a new periodic table had 105 elements on it. Now, somewhere, we're not being told the truth. We're being lied to at every turn and every corner. We're considered less than morons. Most likely been planned as underground prison camps and slave labor factories for the New World Order. New World Order, by the way, is getting, and I'm probably the only person ever talking about this, the New World Order is taking, and the United Nations is taking its orders from, believe it or not, these more powerful outer space alien entities. We might call them the large grays or the small grays. Sinister forces indeed. And you might want to say, well, gee, how come we don't see more of this kind of thing? Well, you can just imagine. If you're only being told 5% or less, but I don't. I've had my own agenda to kind of keep up and talk about. But other than that, yes, I would imagine so. If you look at all the 39 prison camps that are presently built, and they're called boot camps, by the way. And of course, these new trains that they have that have 143 shackle placements per train, they're a scary thing indeed. You know what they're called? They're called United Nations Prisoner Transfer Cars. Oh, that's an appropriate name, I guess. We've seen what a black helicopter is. Or maybe even gotten rare glimpses of an F-117A Black Jet, or Stealth, as they're often called, or a B-2 bomber, B-1 bomber, or some of these other sophisticated aircraft that are now being touted as the new technology. Once again, where did we get this new technology? Well, obviously we've had a little hand in that. Our little alien so-called buddies, have kind of exchanged things, not without a great cost. The cost of which has been a lot of people have disappeared. Some, and I'll blow this statistic by you, there's, according to current FBI and Defense Intelligence Agency and CIA statistics, 100,000 children and 1 million adults disappear every year, and these are not kidnappings or murders or rapes or suicides or anything, totally unaccounted for. Another thing I want to reach to you is that during the unbelievable part, I was involved in building another base inside of Dulce, New Mexico, which is Los Alamos Laboratory. It's a biological laboratory. On the southwest part of the Archuleta Mesa, we built an underground facility, a better part of 3 cubic miles hollowed out underground. Then to the southwest of that, we were in the process of the early stages of building. We drilled 4 large tunnel-like holes. Some of them ran 2.5 miles under the surface. Number of the original wells or drilling machines that were used were at the rate of up 2 miles a day. It was fairly rapid. The equipment kept coming up broken. So we wanted to go down, we wanted to send somebody down there, a human observer, or human observers in this case, to find out what was going on. Well, to our total surprise, first of all, the government knew all about it. They didn't tell anybody.
when I saw Green Beret and Black Beret people encamped inside of our geologist camp, I knew something was up. The gig was up. First of all, I knew all about the alien agenda. I'll explain that in a few minutes. The large alien grays had been encamped there for as best as believed possible about 400 or 500 years. Had been one of their internal bases. And we'd drilled holes right on top of it. All the stinking air, all the black sooty air came right out as soon as the first hole was sunk, and all this soot came up, and well, that's when all the hell broke loose, really. All started. Anyway, after we drilled all 4 holes, it took about 2 days to drill all 4 of them. And when you build a underground base, you drill 4 basic holes, and then you build called stopes or cross-member holes across, and then you use blasting equipment, special blasting equipment by the analyzation of the rock formation, and you literally blast out or tunnel out or deflagrate or melt rock out to build the large rooms that are required for this underground base. Well, in this process, I was lowered down the basket of one of these holes, and about from me to this elderly woman here in the front was sitting a 7-foot-tall alien gray. The stench was worse than the worst garbage can you can imagine. The person was the entity was absolutely horrible. I didn't waste any time. I reached for my pistol. At that time, as an engineer, I didn't have time to carry all the folderol of one of these big submachine guns that all the sea spray and the yellow fruit and all the outer perimeter and inner perimeter security people carried. I carried a little Walther PPK pistol with a 9-shot clip. This was in late August of 1979. Now, you got a regular suit of clothes, you got a regular clothes on, plus you're in almost like a spacesuit environment, and you're reaching for a gun. It's not the easiest thing to do, and then to pop a clip in it and start shooting. And I killed 2 of them. Yes, they're mortal, and they do die. However, in the process, one of them did this. All I remember is that he just kind of waved his hand in front of his chest, and the next thing I know, this blue beam hit me and just literally opened me up like a fish, and burnt my fingers right off of me. And it was some form of electrical force, because the kind of like being hit by a lightning bolt burned all my toenails off of me. Completely crispy crittered my left foot, burnt the shoe right off of me. All I remember was the smoking remains, and I'm still conscious, but in and out of, I didn't remember much. And there was a Green Beret that was right behind me that risked his life. In fact, he died. But he risked his life. He shoved me back in the basket and hit the button and took me up. And I wouldn't be alive talking to you today if it wasn't for him. I'm forever indebted. He lost his life. 66 Secret Service agents, Green Berets, Black Berets, crack troops lost their lives because the government, our United States government, lied, did not tell us anything about the alien threat. There's a war underneath there, and I'm talking dead serious. It's been going on since that time. Since late August of 1979, our military, the Russian military, basically the militaries of the world, have been in constant conflict with the outer space alien. The small gray, the large gray, the reptilians, the whole thing. There are 11 distinct races of aliens. 2 are benevolent. 1 had to leave here in a hurry because their world is under attack, both on the surface as well as underground. There, the Pleiadians. The agenda is, and it's going to sound very familiar. The alien agenda is the complete takeover of this planet, the killing off of 5/6 to 7/8 of the world's population by the year 2029. U.S. military has known about this for 45 years. They've told no one. As far as I know, I'm the only person standing before a crowd talking about the alien agenda, secretively. Okay. back in 1954, I'll give you a quick overview. There was the created 1954 treaty where Eisenhower signed a pact with the known alien species of the time. There were 3 at the time, and said that we're going to deal in high technology, but you can take a few head of cattle and a few human beings and you can experiment on them. It's unthinkable. Order, the alien agenda is one and the same. It's world takeover and the decimation of the population of this planet. Now, I'm going to tell you something a little bit different about the alien species. The bad news ones, there are 9 races of alien populations. To look at a human being as a bag of food. They're not cannibals. They don't eat the flesh and the bones and all that kind of stuff. They use the glandular secretions of animals and human beings as a mixture of the vitamins for their food. They get high off of our adrenal gland substances called adrenal chrome. It's something like cocaine to them. Now, what can we do about it? Right now, if we do nothing, we can do nothing about it, and it'll continue to go on. Basically, we'll be led in the dark, and you'll keep seeing more and more people disappear. Right now, there's 100,000 children totally unaccountable through FBI archives, cannot be traced anywhere. They haven't been murdered. Nobody's ever seen them. I think they're hauled underneath in some of these bases, and they are summarily done away with, and they are literally eaten. Now, that is a scary thing indeed. And I'm not asking you to believe me in toto. I am asking you to seriously do enough homework that you can go out in through the public record, through the congressional records, find out who's voting for what, and go from there.
The aliens have a 1,200 IQ, can speak all these languages, and are so powerful. What prevents them from just taking over?
Well, it's a good question. Basically, they have taken over. All that's left is a bunch of screaming, a bunch of us that have been very complacent. Half of the 131 deep underground military bases are basic cities for them. Right underneath our feet is a macabre sight indeed. You can bet your bottom dollar they've already basically won the war. However, they're being an alien species, we are an alien species to them, and our germs have a tendency to kill them. They're also a dying race, and they're in far worse condition than anybody with the worst case of terminal cancer. They are in need of us to some degree.
Correlate the foreign forces with the Soviets?
The Soviet forces, the foreign forces, all of us have an alien war going on. The Red Chinese right now are getting it in full brunt. The Russians are shooting down per province. There are about 9 provinces in their motherland. They're shooting down at the rate of 50 of these saucers per month and ships. They're heaping piles of them in outer Mongolia, mountains of them. They just tow them out there and let them sit out there.
The United States government intentionally enter into an agreement with the aliens back in 1940,
1954?
1954?
Yes, they intentionally, they knew full well what their capacity was. They intentionally did so, supposedly on the premise that they were buying time to get arranged, and this wasn't true. This was a lie dished out to the public and people in the know at the time, all the MJ members, et cetera, et cetera. It did buy time, but at a great cost. As we speak, as I'm speaking, rather, about 6 million to 7 million human beings have been slaughtered by the aliens at the present time, unaccounted for. And of course, there's 1,000 lies to say where they went or where they didn't go. Okay? I'm telling you right now that the lies and innuendo not only have to stop, if we don't believe in them anymore, they're going to stop, guaranteed.
One final question. The so-called ascension movement.
You know nothing of it. I don't mix.
You know nothing of it.
Nothing of it.
Okay. Thanks.
cannot hear you. If some of you are short and can't get up and see the artifacts, I'll try and explain them, but I ask you once again, please don't handle them. Well, most of this is very well camouflaged.
Phil, I want to say thank you and God bless you for what you're doing. It takes a big man like you to do it, man.
Thank you.